February 5th, there was an unlawful intrusion into the city of Oldsmar computer system at its water treatment plant. Now, I'm going to provide you a little bit of background on how water is provided in Pinellas County. There are some cities like Oldsmar that access their own well fields, have their own water treatment plants, and provide drinking water directly to their city's businesses and residences. Other cities obtain their water from the county, which obtains water from Tampa Bay Water. Because Oldsmar has its own well fields, it has to have its own water treatment plant that treats the water with chemicals so that it is suitable for public drinking. Water systems, like other public utility systems, are part of the nation's critical infrastructure and can be vulnerable targets when someone desires to adversely affect public safety. On Friday morning at about 8 o'clock, a plant operator at the Oldsmar water treatment facility noticed that someone remotely accessed the computer system that he was monitoring. This computer system controls the chemicals and other operations of the water treatment plant. The computer system was set up with a software program that allows for remote access where authorized users can troubleshoot system problems from other locations. The remote access at 8 o'clock on Friday morning was brief, and the operator didn't think much of it because his supervisor and others will remotely access his computer screen to monitor the system at various times. So nothing else happened from that initial intrusion at about 8 o'clock on Friday morning until about 1:30, when someone again remotely accessed the computer system, and it showed up on the operator's screen with a mouse being moved about to open various software functions that control the water being treated in the system. The person remotely accessed the system for about 3 to 5 minutes, opening various functions on the screen. One of the functions opened by the person hacking into the system was one that controls the amount of sodium hydroxide in the water. The hacker changed the sodium hydroxide from about 100 parts per million to 11,100 parts per million. This is obviously a significant and potentially dangerous increase. Sodium hydroxide, also known as lye, is the main ingredient in liquid drain cleaners. It's also used to control water acidity and remove metals from drinking water in the water treatment plants. After the intruder increased the parts per million from 100 to 11,100, the intruder exited the system, and the plant operator immediately reduced the level back to the appropriate amount of 100. Because the operator noticed the increase and lowered it right away, at no time was there a significant adverse effect on the water being treated. Importantly, the public was never in danger. Even if the plant operator had not quickly reversed the increased amount of sodium hydroxide, it would have taken between 24 and 36 hours for that water to hit the water supply system, and there are redundancies in place where the water had been checked before it was released. The city manager and the mayor can answer any questions or any more information that you want regarding how the plant works. After the plant operator reversed the sodium hydroxide levels, he notified his supervisor and steps were taken to prevent further remote access to the system. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office was notified late Friday afternoon, and we began a criminal investigation along with our federal partners at the FBI and the U.S. Secret Service. Our digital forensics unit has been working all weekend to try and determine exactly how the breach occurred and the identity of the person or persons responsible. Now, obviously, these investigations are very complicated. Right now, we do not have a suspect identified, but we do have leads that we're following. We don't know right now whether the breach originated from within the United States or outside the country. We also do not know why the Oldsmar system was targeted, and we have no knowledge of any other systems being unlawfully accessed. Because of this security breach, we are asking that all governmental entities within the Tampa Bay area with critical infrastructure components actively review their computer security protocols and make any necessary updates that are consistent with the most up-to-date practices. So that's what we know at this point. Again, somebody breached it. They took that sodium hydrochloride level up to dangerous levels, but luckily it was caught right away and there was no danger of the water system. I'm going to turn it over to the mayor and the city manager for any comments that they want to make, and then we'll all answer any questions that you have. Mayor?
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. I think I think the sheriff's covered it pretty well, but I want to make a point, and that is the protocols that we have in place, the monitoring protocols, they work. That's the good news. Even had they not caught them, there's redundancies that have alarms in the system that would have caught the change in the pH level anyhow. But the important thing is to put everybody on notice. And I think that's really the purpose of today, is to make sure that everyone realizes these kind of bad actors are out there. It's happening. So really take a hard look at what you have in place. City Manager, anything you want to add?
No, sir, I think you all covered it, but we'd be available to answer any questions.
Have you heard about these kind of attacks happening at other agencies around the country?
I think we anticipated that, you know, this day was coming. I can't tell you that I know a whole lot about those that we've confirmed have already happened elsewhere, but, you know, we talk about it, we think about it, we study it, but as far as a specific, I'm not aware of one right now.
If this is am I correct in understanding that this is the potable water supply, the drinking water supply?
Correct.
That's correct.
Why is it that this is something that is allowed to be changed at all? As regards to, why are there not metrics within the system that allow this not to be changed to that dangerous level at all? Why is that even an option?
Well, because the water's drawn from the ground and has some statistical things that have to happen to it in order for it to be potable. So the system is set up with those in mind, and we adjust accordingly as the water gets drawn from the ground, and it needs to be adjusted occasionally.
If I'm understanding what you're saying, then it sounds like this hacker was simply removing some of the levels of, trying to remove some of the levels of the safeguards that you guys filter the water through to make it drinking water. Is that what happened?
Specifically, he was trying to change the sodium hydroxide level of the water being produced.
It changes the alkalinity. And so that's what he was doing.
To the other point, I'm sorry. The pH, we have pH alarms throughout the system. So obviously, if you change the alkalinity level, the pH changes. That would have been an alarm throughout the entire system. So even if we hadn't noticed it right away, it would have alarmed to all of our people to notice it quickly.
Has there been anything done additionally since this happened to maybe tighten things up, or any additional steps to prevent this from happening again? Could it happen again?
Well, we've obviously disabled the program that enabled it to happen, and yeah, we are going to make some upgrades to other parts of the system to try and ensure that it doesn't happen again.
How long before those alarms sound?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
How long before those alarms go off? I mean, he caught it, but
Instantly, as soon as the level is beyond what the system says it should be, an alarm goes off. In our case, our personnel happened to observe the person that was in the system getting to that level, so it didn't get to that point because he was on it as soon as he saw somebody change the level of sodium hydroxide. I don't know why I can't say
Well, remember, this is dangerous stuff. I mean, you're not just taking, you know, you get back to your question, you're taking something that is changing the levels, but you're taking it from 100 parts per million to 11,100 parts per million with lye. So this is somebody that is trying, as it appears on the surface, to do something bad. It's a bad act. It's a bad actor. This isn't just, oh, you know, we're putting a little bit of chlorine or a little bit of fluoride or a little bit of something. You're basically talking about lye that you're taking from 100 parts per million to 11,100. But very fortunately, like has been said, is that the operator saw it and immediately reduced it, and that there was the right infrastructure in place to catch this, and that Oldsmar has redundancies in place. Even if he hadn't caught it, is that it would have taken a period of time before it would have hit the drinking water system in Oldsmar, and alarms would have caught it, and it could have been adjusted before it got out. But again, and really the thing I want to stress is that, you know, this type of activity and this type of hacking of critical infrastructure is not necessarily limited to just water supply systems. It can be anything. It could be sewer systems. It could be a whole variety of things that could really be problematic. And this is where we want to make sure that we're paying close attention to all of it, because it's not just an accident when you're taking it from 100 parts per million to 11,100 parts per million with a caustic substance. So it's, you know, potentially serious.
I mean, are you comfortable, Sheriff, calling this an attempted bioterror attack?
Well, what I'm comfortable, it is what it is. I mean, you can put whatever label you want on it. What it is that somebody hacked into the system, not just once but twice, and controlled the system, took control of the mouse, moved it around, opened the program, and changed the levels from 100 to 11,100 parts per million with a caustic substance. So you label it however you want. I'm telling you those are the facts. And in order to get into the system, somebody had to use some pretty sophisticated ways of doing it. Yeah, Jack, go ahead.
Yeah, Sheriff, I mean, obviously good that these redundancies were in place and would have gotten even if the supervisor had not been monitoring it as it was happening. But given that someone tried to do this, what would have been the physiological effects of that amount of lye essentially getting?
Well, I'm not a chemist, I don't know, but I can tell you, with this substance is that it is the primary ingredient in liquid drain cleaners. Okay, it's a lye, and those high concentration. I don't know if the city manager or the mayor have any greater familiarity with it. I'm not a chemist, but I can tell you from what I do know of it is that again, I want to stress that because of the redundancies, that it would have been caught. But if you put that amount of that substance in the drinking water, it's not a good thing. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that? Or?
No, not really. I mean, the reality of it is that
Could you step to the mic, please?
Sure. No, there's nothing really to add to that. I think the sheriff summarized it pretty well. The reality of it is, though, that the redundancies that we have in place, they work. But everybody should be on notice. We certainly feel like we're taking a hard look at what we can upgrade and that type of thing to prevent it from happening again. But that lye would have never made it through the process to someone's tap. It just, the systems are set up to catch it. But everyone should be on notice.
Roughly how many people live in Oldsmar?
Just under 15,000. Just under
Sheriff,
15.
have you notified other agencies like Tampa Water, your own water? I mean, is that an FBI job or how does that go?
Yes, so, I've been in contact, of course, with the FBI, with our federal partners, been in touch with the other municipalities in the area, with Tampa Bay Water, et cetera. I had discussions over the weekend with city and county officials across the Tampa Bay area to make them aware of it because we wanted them to just be vigilant and to look at their systems and know that somebody's trying to do this and address the potential vulnerability.
What type of charges? I mean, I know the investigation's still going on, but what kind of charges would this guy face, federal and?
Well, of course, there could be some federal charges. A lot of it would depend upon, there's a lot of things that, of course, there are state felonies that would absolutely apply, and it would be a felony offense. One of the big questions I have is that, and I don't know, again, it's still an ongoing investigation and it's very much active, is that where did it originate from? Did it originate from here in Pinellas County in the state of Florida in the United States or outside the United States? So there's a lot of questions, and I think some of that would also determine if we're able to identify, who it is, what type of charges they would face.
This kind of investigation it sounds like it might require more than the FBI. I mean, do you anticipate this could involve other agencies as well on the federal level, NSA?
We'll see where it goes. Again, we're still very early in the investigation, and we're all working collectively and collaboratively in the investigation, and I'm sure that if additional resources are needed, they'd be available.
Is it safe to say it was making the water more acidic?
I think it's actually the other way.
Yeah.
It's actually the other way. So when the water's in there, and I'm no water person, but the water's in the ground, it's in well fields. Right, so it's got all kinds of chemicals in it, it's got all kinds of acidic qualities, et cetera. So you have to test the pH and you have to bring it back. And you have to get it in balance so that it's consumable, so it's drinking water. And that's the whole purpose of this. And of course, they put certain additives in it, but it's making it less acidic, it's making it so it's drinkable. It's to adjust the pH balance. Again, there's a whole variety of chemicals. It just so happens that this one is when it's used appropriately, it obviously works and it's fine. But it's by itself or in these mega quantities, it's a caustic substance.
Did you guys go back and check your logs to make sure nobody had tried to get in before? Is there a way to do that? I mean, maybe they've been trying to get in for a couple of years or something, and then this is the first time they've been successful, or?
Well, we're certainly checking everything we have. That's a history. I don't know that we've made any conclusions.
Gentlemen, we have the sheriff's name. Sheriff's name. Can we please get your name, spelling, and titles at the microphone, if you don't mind, one by one?
Sure. Eric Seidel, E-R-I-C-S-E-I-D-E-L, and I'm the mayor in the city of Oldsmar.
Al Braithwaite, B-R-A-I-T-H-W-A-I-T-E, and I'm the city manager.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.